name's Victor George Gray. Not really good at these kind of things. I met Katie 2 years ago on Facebook. She sent me a friend request, so I asked her to send me back a picture to make sure she was real, doing something strange with her hand. So she did it, so then she turned out to be real, and we started talking for a little while, and we went on a date to the Big Dipper, and that was how we met. We have a lot in common. She's really shown me a lot about like nature and dogs, and helped me find a lot of peace in myself. Things that we have in common is we both love our families, and both like trying to give other people a chance out there in the world. We've met a lot of people that before I wouldn't have given a chance, you know. I would have just looked at like, you know, Katie taught me how to have some humility, see things in a different light, basically. I actually didn't like dogs when we first got together. I didn't like animals at all. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and down in a small town in Georgia where it just wasn't really feasible to have dogs or animals in apartments. But, yeah. So she introduced me to dogs and animals and stuff like that, and now we go to the shelter, and I help out with all of that stuff, and we have dogs that are up for adoptions that come stay here, and I help out with that, and it's nice. I know that she was telling me about when she got out, she got the job at the vet clinic there, and she didn't think that would ever be a thing coming from prison. And I was like, well, yeah, people do that all the time, you know. And then it got me to thinking about myself, but the way that it helped her, like, now there's certain customers whenever they come in there to see just Katie, stuff like that. It really opened the door back up into the world for her, I think. Because I first went to prison, everybody claimed they were innocent. Everybody. And I'm like, okay, sure you are, you know, and stuff like that. And I never really took that into consideration as to how many people actually are, you know, because, I don't know, I never actually thought about that realistically, you know, how many of those people actually really didn't do it. It was hard for me to understand things like that at first, because whenever I went to prison, I put myself there. And then for her to tell me her story, and not her actually not to have done the things that we're accused of, and then to just step back and take a look at that, like, that's crazy how things like that happen. It really blew my mind after doing almost the same amount of time that she's done in prison, just being stupid. Somebody to be there just trying to get out, never getting in any trouble in there or anything like that. It's kind of crazy to me. It blew my mind. You know, we help each other with things because I can't go out in social situations and she still can. Like, it just amazes me at things like that, because we can go to a baseball game and I'm going to stand there all quiet and feel weird, and like she's just open with the world. Like, it's still nice to see that things like that have happened haven't changed her opinion towards people, per se. She learned what she learned on the dog pod and applies it out here in the world. She didn't waste any time. She learned something, which is, you know, I think inspiring. Believe it or not, it helps me understand things out here every day whenever I see, like, I didn't used to think that good people could have something like that happen to them, you know. So the experiences that she tells me about and stuff like that, I'm like, wow, like, you've helped a lot of people in there when you were talking to them and stuff, and to see the relationships that she has from some of her friends that she made in there. She helped a lot of those people and they helped her. It's nice to see things like that. So for me, it helps me in many different ways. I just really don't know where to begin to start. It helps me to just take time and be patient with myself and everything.
Honestly, it's just that he's able to put up with me most of the time, even though I can be a little crazy. That's pretty amazing. And what? It's true. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I know. What else do I love about it? That he always thinks about everybody else before he thinks about himself too, which is pretty amazing. I think, mostly probably like when we have our arguments, I think I feel like my wall's coming up, and it's probably because of like being in prison and no offense to Victor, but having like another boyfriend, like lie about me and say these things that I didn't do, and so I may inadvertently take it out on him sometimes, and that's not really fair. But like when I am struggling, I think he's always there to listen to me if I need to. It's nice, but it's also hard too, because I want to be very independent and like just know that I can do things on my own. So honestly, it's really hard to like let that part of me go. And so, but it is also nice too when I have like someone be like, hey, can you help me with this? Or like, hey, just.
Yeah, but that's hard from both sides, because that's hard for me to even ask remotely. Yeah, I guess sometimes like you do just kind of get a little lost too, you know what I mean? And just like trying to figure out like where you're supposed to be at in this life is really hard, and I think he helps me out more than he thinks that he does, honestly. But it's just nice to know that, like even though our experiences were different, we still kind of shared the same experience, like being in prison and then having to try to start a new life and be with another person and trust somebody else. And I don't think anything's ever going to be perfect, but I think as long as you just try and you keep going, that's what's important. Yeah, I guess from my perspective, like you just don't bring your past to the future, because even though, and I still do it, even though I know that I shouldn't, just kind of letting, you have to let that go, because where you're at now is not who or what you were doing 20 years ago. And I think just being able to let that go and just be in the moment, regardless of what like your mind is trying to tell you, like how things might be. I think it was really cool when I was able to see him meet his dad again after being incarcerated, not being able to see him, and then also him meeting my family. And I think he was very uncomfortable just being in that situation and like having such accepting people around, and like knowing that like I knew he was okay, but he didn't know that he was okay. And so yeah he still doesn't, but I appreciated that. And then he was there the whole time with me for my dad too, so that's really important to me.